Today we're speedrunning a game that's all about protecting this tree. Now our speedrun starts when we select the hard difficulty, and right away we want to plant some daisies where the forces of evil are going to be coming from. But we're going to wait to spawn them by just a little bit, because we do want our flowers to grow and actually be able to attack them as soon as they do show up. So I usually wait for a music audio cue to press the bell and get them spawned in. Now they're going to be coming from these directions, but I do have my flowers and they're in the perfect spots to deal with these guys. I knew a couple would come more from the bottom area, so that's why I doubled up right here, just so we're a little bit stronger over in that section. And once we get more coins that we can pick up, sometimes these guys are going to drop them, we can just spawn more flowers. They only cost $100, which I guess that is fairly expensive for a daisy, but that's going to be the wave done. Now we're going to check where the next guys are coming from. They'll be the top and over to the right. So I want to plant a couple of flowers in those spots. Just like last time, we do have to wait for them to actually grow. But since this is the second round, they're only going to be coming from 2 places. That's why I know I don't have to check the other areas. And we should be pretty safe just like last time. They are going to be spread out a little bit more. So these defenses should be more than enough. But just like last time, we're going to keep getting more money and then planting more flowers with those. And by the way, we want these daisies as far out as possible, because the farther out they are, the sooner they can start attacking the forces of evil. Now that is a little bit of a problem because our daisies are in a very dangerous position. If we mess up, they could very easily die, but that's a risk we have to take if we are going to speed run. And now we're going to get some more of these guys. I will check the different positions they're going to be coming from, planting our daisies, and that looks pretty good. And now they're coming from multiple different directions. We can't look at them all at the same time, but we can generally get a fairly good view just by keeping the tree in the middle of the screen. And by the way, we did also unlock the bramble, which costs 75, but it only damages the enemies when they walk over it. And since we want to kill these enemies as soon as possible, it's just not that useful for us. We'd rather have the daisies, which attack from farther out. We will get later on plants that we're going to use, and those will be helpful. But for right now, daisies is the main strategy. And we are in a pretty good spot. We almost have a full outer row of daisies, which is when we'll be very protected, at least for these beginning rows. But I just want to keep making sure I'm taking all these coins. It's very easy to miss coins if you're not careful, but we got a lot coming from the right. Thankfully, I have a whole row of those daisies, and yeah, pretty much anybody that is going to be coming at me, there's not much they can do right now. Just like us getting stronger plants though, there will soon be stronger enemies we have to deal with as well. But for right now, I will take those coins. I'll plant a couple more of these guys. We see this dude who's walking by himself. You already know he's getting decimated by our daisies, and this is just the very addicting process of getting more and more forces, getting more defense, and hopefully never letting any of our guys die, at least for now. And with that, we should actually be good to start this next wave right away. We're gonna have people coming from everywhere, but oh, actually that one corner is safe. So yeah, I don't have to worry about waiting a little bit to start planting my guys because we already have that outer row. Everything is gonna get dealt with, so we're chilling. And now the forces of evil are coming full force. They are everywhere. There's just tons of people, but that also means I'm getting a lot of money, and the more money I get, the more daisies I can plant, so I'm not going to complain about that. Besides for the fact that you do have to actually mouse over the coins to actually collect them. Once we get later on and there are even more enemies, that does get annoying, especially because you're also trying to plant things. But hey, for right now, it's not too bad, especially these gold coins we want to make sure we get. And we're mostly just working on getting a second row of daisies, because the more rows of daisies you have, the faster everybody is going to die, and obviously that's great for the speedrun. It also is fun because there is a counter that shows the amount of enemies you've actually killed that's constantly going up. We're still in the hundreds, but soon that's going to be the thousands, and it's going to be amazing. Well, amazing for us, not for the people we're murdering. By the way, if you end up enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And as soon as that wave is done, you already know we're putting on another bell. We see the guys are coming from this direction, so I'll make sure to start putting up those forces, as well as just getting stuff everywhere in this second row. And we're pretty much completely protected at this point. Right now, it's pretty much just a game of get as much money as possible, because especially soon we are going to need plenty of it. And we can also start working on our third row. I only want to go about 4 rows in because I feel like that's a pretty good amount. These guys are really annoying because instead of just slowly walking over to our flowers and never actually getting there, these guys shoot our flowers. And even if we have tons of daisies up, we're never going to stop at least one of their shots from coming out. So our daisies are going to start getting injured, and once they die, we do want to replant them, so that's another cost that we're going to have to incur. It does cost money over time, but it still is important to have these daisies as far out as possible, just so they can start killing things as soon as possible. It's a risk we have to take. Sorry about that, daisies. And especially on these bigger waves, these guys can start really doing some damage to our defenses. They're definitely not the kindest guys in the world, but I'm just constantly keeping track, seeing if there's anything we have to plant, and taking as much coins as possible, just like usual. The nice thing is most of our daisies can take a few hits, so they're not going to die that often, at least not yet. But now we have another plant, and this is going to be the hedge wall. But again, we're not going to plant it. The hedge wall is a really good defense plant to where it can keep your other people safe. But honestly, I'd rather just keep the daisies, because even though we do have to replant them, they allow us to get damage sooner, so that trade-off for a speedrun is kind of worth it. If we really wanted to go full protection, we could have a full outer layer of the hedge walls, but for speed's sake, we're keeping it all daisies. Don't worry, there will be new plants eventually. It's just we have to get to them. And here is going to be our third layer done. Now we can work on the fourth, and fourth is pretty much all that I like going for. At least for our daisy strats. Once we switch over to different strats, there will be more of this map used, but you'll just have to wait and see that. I also love the little animations that all these daisies have as they're moving back and forth asynchronously. It's kind of nice just seeing them smile as they get rained down by the forces of evil. Meanwhile, our tree has no thoughts in the world because he's just completely safe. And now, along with the next wave going up, I believe that this should be 4 full rows of daisies, so we're in a really good spot because our fourth row of daisies pretty much never even activate. We usually kill these guys far before they get there, but there will be an enemy soon that they will actually be useful for. For right now though, we just completely pummel these dudes. Also, as a little fun thing, let's give our tree some friends. I like giving him these hedge walls. They start out as little guys, but eventually they'll grow faces and he'll actually enjoy his life. You know what? Along with that, I'll give you some of these too. Okay, I need a little bit more money for that, but I'll give you some of these too. I don't need the money. Okay, maybe I do. I do need to repair this thing, but not the biggest deal. It's like $200. That's barely anything, especially with all the money we're making just from picking up all the cash that's falling on the floor. I don't know why some of the forces of evil have so much more money than other forces of evil. Is this just what they get paid for their day job and they bring it on the battlefield? Like, I'm definitely not going to die again, end up dropping it all. None of this money goes to their families. Okay, that's a pretty dark interpretation, but also that was a very big amount of my guys who died. Hopefully I can recoup some of those losses with this money, which we can do exactly just that. By the way, our hedges now have faces. They do not look nearly as happy to be by the tree as the tree is to be by them. Maybe not an equal friendship, but at least it's a friendship. They got that going for them. Now that I'm at this point, I majorly just want to save money. A lot of our strategies later on cost a ton of money, so as little money as I can waste as possible, that's the plan. That's why we're only going 4 of these lanes in. But finally, here is a new thing where it introduces these fast guys. And these guys are insane, as you can see, because they incredibly quickly go over to your flowers, start eating them, do a lot of damage. These waves are also relentless. There's already the second wave of these fast guys before we could even replenish our waves for the first one. So I have to start bringing out some other people. We finished that wave, and it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it definitely is a bit of a money drain on replanting these daisies. Not really anything we can do to stop that though. I guess you could plant these hedge walls, but that would waste more time. I'm trying to speedrun. I need my offenses as close as possible to the enemies. One other cool thing is we now have over $10,000, so we really are saving money, and we're gonna need it soon. And especially in waves like this where you get both the fast guys and the regular guys, some shooting guys at the same time, that's a lot of damage that can happen to you very quickly. I'm trying to pick up all this money, but I also have to plant these things. There's just so much money at this point that we have to go around and pick up. It's kind of overwhelming because you don't want to wait too long because then it will disappear, but I do need to focus on everything I have to worry about at one time. Another wave of these guys all coming at us, and this usually signifies the end of a current wave, so I am ready for that. They're actually not able to do too much damage this time and do give us a ton of money. That ends it off. And you can see we got a new plant, and this time we're actually going to use it. I will pick up this money first, though, because we're not in too much of a rush. And that's because this is going to be the missile bell, which specifically attacks air enemies. And air enemies only come a bit later in the run. It does give you a little bit of time to actually plant these dudes. I will plant them in those 4 sides, and then I'm also going to put them on these 4 corners. We can put those guys right there. And yeah, only a total of 8 of these plants, but that's all we're going to need. And that's because air enemies are a lot less common than the ground enemies, but you do still need to deal with them. So I did go back and forth how far out I did want my missile bells to be, because there is an argument of having them on like the second layer. That way they can kill the air enemies a bit faster. But I think since ground enemies are so much more common than air enemies, it just makes sense to put them on the third layer because they'll see a bit less action. And while I am explaining this, there is also a ton of destruction that's going on for my front line of daisies, so that's kind of insane. And finally, with this last little bit of this wave, you'll see we have these flying enemies. Our daisies are not going to be able to hit them normally, but that's where our missile bells comes in. Before, I used only 4 of them, but I felt like that was a bit slower than we needed it to be. So 8 is going to be the perfect amount to pretty much deal with every single one of these guys. And usually they're going to be coming with normal waves, not all by themselves. And it looks like it is just going to be these last few that are coming from here. These guys look terrifying, by the way. The way they're just dripping with whatever their stuff is. But we can deal with those. I'm going to be ready on the summoning bill. That way we can start the next wave right away. And we're good to go. And you can see nowadays, it is even harder to keep our daisies safe than ever. There's so many people coming at us, especially on this hard difficulty. You almost never going to break. They'll bring out the fast guys with the shooting guys. This is a terrifying strategy because they're just coming at you from all fronts. And there's not much you can do besides just allow your guys to die slowly but surely. I mean, they only ever really get to the second layer still because we do have some pretty good defenses. Okay, these guys are going kind of insane. They even took out my missile bell. That was just rude, dude. That's a new guy to the team. But the amount of money we get dropped from that is insane. I just actually have to go and manually pick it all up. And now we're getting the combo of the regular guys with also the air guys, which is perfect for our strategy because our regular guys, they're going to deal with everybody on the ground. Meanwhile, our air units can deal with the air guys. And yeah, we are just completely safe. And with that, with us finishing that round, now we get fertilizer. And this is a thing that temporarily buffs every one of your flowers. Now in the past, what I like to do was fill up this entire second row of flowers with the fertilizer, but the problem with that is fertilizer doesn't last forever, so we have to constantly be using this money, and I think a better strategy is to actually do every other flower. That way it doesn't cost quite as much money. Obviously, we're not doing the most far out lane because those flowers are going to die, and that would just be a waste of money, but I'm also going to fertilize my missile bells, which allows them to shoot so quickly, and all of these air units now die as soon as they spawn in pretty much. We definitely need this fertilizer for these next few rounds before we get to round 15 and get the plant you get after that, because the forces of evil are coming out even stronger than ever before. But with only using fertilizer on every other, we still keep around $20,000, so that's a pretty good ratio. Still gives us that added damage increase we want, but doesn't cost quite as much as it could. But yeah, who knew that protecting a tree would cost so much bank management that you have to worry about? I think the best way to see just how powerful fertilizer is too is for those air enemies. Usually our missile bells shoot pretty slowly, but here when they have the fertilizer, it is just shot after shot and you completely decimate them. Now we'll see how this new strategy is able to compare against these fast dudes. Pretty well. Most of these guys are no longer making it to our front line, and we do still get a couple of casualties, but fertilizer definitely helps with that, so it's feeling pretty good. Now we get our summoning bell, we get a bunch of money, and I think what I'll do at this point is use my fertilizer again on this second layer. But since some of these flowers already have fertilizer, we won't worry about them. We're only worrying about the ones that don't have it. So that way, even when the fertilizer for the old flowers is up, we'll have the one for these new flowers. Like you can see, this one up in the top left, it no longer has its fertilizers, but these two right by it now do. And I also will have to worry about giving it back to our missile bells in a second. I see that they lost it, but there's a lot of stuff going on. All right, these are a lot of air enemies. Take these guys. Yeah, we're getting to the later rounds. There is definitely not an easy part of this game at this point. My bottom left section especially just took so many casualties. All right, this is an insane amount of these dudes. It's only the shooty guys, which are probably the most scary guys in the game. Just look at how they decimate my daisies. It's not even a challenge for them, but we're replenishing pretty well. I'm just scared of them. And again, with this next set, of course, we're going to start giving our second layer its fertilizer again. The fertilizer from the last wave has not worn out yet, so it will only go on every other flower. And this is going to be the last major spot which we use this strategy, because after round 15, that's when we get our next and end game strategy. But this is an insane group of people with the shooty guys, with the people that are fast, with everything coming at me, and there's not much I can do. They're definitely going to be some deaths here, but not as bad as it could have been. At least I get to pick up a bunch of money. My top right corner, there's always one corner which is going to take the brunt of the damage, and we have to replant everything over there. Oh, also can't forget to give these guys their fertilizer to make sure they can deal with the air enemies. That is very important. And finally, with that wave done, we get to actually start having fun. We get to start working towards our end game strategy, where what I'm going to do is remove all of these guys from my third row of flowers. I'm not going to remove my air plants, but I am going to remove the regular daisies, because now what we're going to have to start dealing with is those big guys, which you can see in the bottom left. And for these guys, the perfect thing is these rocket plants. So I will put all of them on this third lane, and we have so much money that even though these are a 300 cost, we can do that. Then we'll go ahead, put some more of these guys on the front line. I'm just keeping those front daisies to deal with all the damage that is getting taken, because they are no longer going to be our main damage dealers. As you can see by these cannons, these things do an incredible amount of damage. They do take some time to actually be able to hit things, but we can use them pretty fast by just planting them constantly. There's always going to be more we can use, and pretty much this entire inner layer, we're going to want to fill with these cannons. I still will want an outer layer of daisies, at least for now, to be our front line. And yeah, with these dudes, they destroy them. There is just nothing left, which is really why the rocket plant strategy is one of the greatest in the game. I love it. Now, that's most of the rockets we can plant for now. So for right now, I still am going to use some daisies. But once we get our next cash injection from finishing this wave, then we're pretty much just going full rockets. And now the reason I do want to keep my air plants is while the rockets will hit air enemies, if there's a ground enemy in that area and they kind of just get caught in the explosion, but the rockets can't directly aim at air enemies, so it's still worth it to keep our air boys. And I'm also going to give them some fertilizer just to help them with their job. And the great thing about these rockets is our daisies are barely even getting damaged at this point. Before enemies can even start to touch them, they're just dying. And that is that wave done. Feeling good. I'll give these guys their fertilizer. Then I'm also, unfortunately, gonna take out my guy's friends. Yeah, sorry about this, buddy. We gotta do what we gotta do for more power. But I will replace them with that. And then we're also gonna start working on this second layer, because yeah, we do not really need these daisies anymore. They don't really do much damage for us. And the nice thing about shoveling is you do make half of your money back that you spent on that plant. So it's not like a complete waste of money, and it does gain us time. So definitely worth it in my opinion. But we'll plant more of these guys where we just got rid of them kind of sporadically, especially because we won't have quite the amount of money to plant all of them on the second row. But I think you could pretty much see where this is going. It is just insane. The forces of evil have no chance at this point. It just depends on how fast now we can defeat wave 20, because that's the goal for a speedrun. And there's no real need to replant our daisies at this point. Our rockets kill people before they can even think about it. Even those shooty guys who pretty much always hit our front line of daisies, they maybe sometimes hit them, like that guy did get a hit in, but it's not nearly enough to actually deal any real damage. Now, I think what I will do is plant a couple of these missile bells a little farther out so they can deal with the air enemies a bit sooner, because those are a little bit of a bottleneck for us right now. It's just like the tiniest bit of a time save we could probably make at this point. And there we go with round 17. We get another injection of money, and now we're getting rid of this outer row of daisies too. I will also, for these air enemies, before I plant those, I should probably get some more fertilizer on these guys. This is probably like the smallest time save in the world, but I think it still is a time save, so I'll take it. Oh, by the way, the new thing we got is instant grow. So basically I can use it on like one of these rockets and it immediately grows up to its full form. It will have some uses a little bit later on, but not until we just have an excess of money. Right now, we still want to plant more rockets, and we don't have quite enough money to fully get our outer row. It's just rockets, it's just air guys. That's all we need to worry about at this point. That shot was insane. Like the sound that it made, and I don't even know what it hit. We can't even see these enemies anymore before they get on screen for the most part. They're just dead. You can see for the most part, our inner layer of these rockets isn't used that often, because usually the outer layer of rockets is able to deal with everything. But it still is nice to have, just in case we ever do need them. Like for this big guy, if he even thinks about coming close to the rest of our guys, these guys are ready to just demolish him, but he can't get that close, at least right now. And with that wave complete, we now have more than enough money to just completely finish out with all of our rockets, which is really nice because that means I no longer have to manually pick up money. I can just sit back, enjoy the show for the rest of these 2 rounds, and I appreciate that. Oh, I guess there was one more that I missed. Okay, all right, now we're good. But the only thing we ever want to touch, along with our fertilizer for our air units, is the insta-grow. And that's for a situation like this where there's a big guy. I can spam it on one of my rocket dudes, and we just completely destroy that man. Does it save that much time? I have no idea, but it's fun to do. Like, just imagine one singular plant sending an army of missiles right at you. There's nothing you can do. And with that round done, we finish it out with one last big guy. We're officially on wave 20, and this is going to be our last wave. Now, technically, this game does go on forever, but they stop introducing new enemies around now, so I just felt like 20 was the perfect stopping point. But not too much to say about it. It's just the same strategy. We already won, pretty much. Also, no one else has done a speedrun for this game to my knowledge, so no matter what, this is world record. It just depends on how fast we can make it. I guess I could also, just for the end of this, fertilize all of these guys with their rockets, but I don't know how much that actually does. I mean, at least it makes them shiny, and we're ending off anyways, so yeah, enjoy this, guys. Enjoy your fertilizer. I guess it is helping because more of the people in the middle are staying up at all times. And I believe right here is where we'll end off time in 1:05:31. All right, subscribe if you enjoyed.